I never thought my life would lead me to the dense jungles of Vietnam. The helicopter landed with a thud, kicking up clouds of red dust and leaves. My boots sank slightly into the wet, muddy ground, and the heavy weight of my pack pressed down on my shoulders. Every man in our unit was silent, the tension thick as the humid air around us. Captain Harris checked his map one last time. We move at dawn. Stay sharp. We don't know what's waiting in those trees. I tightened my grip on my M16. My heart raced, not from fear, but from a strange mix of adrenaline and anticipation. I had trained for this, dreamed of being part of something bigger than myself, but nothing could prepare you for the unknown. As night fell, the jungle noises grew louder. Frogs, insects, and distant gunfire echoed like a symphony of danger. I found a small clearing and sat down, trying to rest. My thoughts drifted to home, to my brother, Dmitri, and the apple trees in our backyard. A part of me wondered if I'd ever see them again. Sleep came in short bursts, interrupted by the occasional snap of a twig or rustle of leaves. Tomorrow, we storm the enemy's stronghold. Tomorrow, everything could change. Dawn broke like fire through the jungle canopy. The orange light flickered across the leaves, casting long shadows that seemed to move with the wind. We advanced in single file, the mud sucking at our boots. Every step felt heavier than the last. "Stay low," whispered Sergeant Miller, and we dropped into the undergrowth. The air was thick, humid, and smelled of wet earth and smoke. Suddenly, a shot rang out, sharp and terrifying. The world seemed to explode around me. The scream of the bullet, the crack of a tree, the shout of my fellow soldiers. I dove behind a fallen log, my chest pounding, mud and sweat mixing on my face. "Cover me!" yelled one of the men as he fired back toward the enemy positions hidden in the trees. Bullets tore through the branches above, sending splinters flying. My hands shook, gripping my rifle tighter. I realized then how fragile life felt, hanging by a thread with every step we took forward. Through the chaos, I spotted a small opening leading to the enemy's bunker. Captain Harris signaled me. I nodded, trying to swallow the lump in my throat. This was it, the moment where training met reality. As we advanced, I felt a sudden sharp pain in my leg. A sniper's bullet had grazed me. I stumbled, but didn't fall. My vision blurred, and for a second I felt this was the end. But then Sergeant Miller's hand gripped my shoulder, steadying me. "You're not done yet," he said, and somehow that small phrase pulled me forward. The bunker loomed ahead, a dark silhouette against the rising sun. My leg throbbed where the bullet had grazed me, but there was no time to stop. Around me, shouts and gunfire blended into a chaotic roar. The smell of smoke and gunpowder stung my eyes, and every step felt like walking through a storm of bullets. Suddenly, an explosion ripped through the ground near me. Dirt and debris flew into the air. I hit the ground hard, my ears ringing. For a moment, everything went silent except for my own heartbeat. I realized I was alone. The men ahead had moved, and those behind were pinned down. A shadow moved across the bunker's entrance. Enemy soldiers. My rifle was heavy in my hands, but I forced myself to lift it. 1, 2, 3 shots. I hit the first soldier, and the others ducked behind cover. But then another explosion shook the ground, and I was thrown against a tree. Pain shot through my side. I gasped, thinking, "This is it. I won't make it." But something inside me refused to give in. I crawled, inch by inch, using the fallen branches as cover. Sweat and blood mixed on my face. One more step, one more breath, and I reached the edge of the bunker. The enemy was distracted, focusing on the others. I took a deep breath and charged. Time slowed. Every muscle screamed. Every nerve was alive. I felt fear, yes, but also a strange clarity. This was survival, pure and raw. I dove into the bunker, my rifle ready, and the fight became a blur of motion, sound, and desperation. The smoke cleared, and the jungle seemed almost surreal in the morning light. The air was thick with the smell of gunpowder and burned leaves. Around me, the moans of the wounded mixed with the silence of the fallen. I sank to my knees, my legs shaking, my side still burning from the impact of the explosion. Captain Harris appeared beside me, his face streaked with mud and sweat. "You made it," he said quietly. "Most wouldn't have." I looked around at the chaos, my brothers in arms, some laughing shakily, some crying silently. I had survived, but the cost was heavy. I had seen things I would never forget, felt fear so deep it clawed at my chest, and yet I had pushed forward. Sitting there, I thought about home, about Dmitri, about the apple trees, about the quiet life I had left behind. I realized that nothing would ever be the same again. The jungle had changed me. The war had changed me. And yet, amid the pain and exhaustion, there was a strange sense of pride. I had faced death, stared it in the eyes, and moved forward. I was scarred, yes, but I was alive. And somehow, that was enough. The helicopter came back to evacuate the wounded, carrying us away from the battlefield. As it lifted off, I looked down at the jungle, the place that had almost taken my life, and whispered a quiet promise to myself. I would survive. I would live. And I would remember. Back at the base, the noise of the helicopter faded, but the echoes of the jungle stayed with me. Nights were the worst. I would lie on a thin cot, staring at the ceiling, and hear the snapping twigs, the distant shouts, the gunfire that never really left me. My hands shook, even when I wasn't holding my rifle. I kept thinking about the men we lost. Faces flashed in my mind. Sergeant Miller's determined eyes, Private Lopez's nervous laugh. I should have saved them. I could have moved faster, fired better, planned smarter. The guilt wrapped around me like a second skin, heavy and suffocating. The war outside had ended that day, but inside me it raged on. I found myself flinching at sudden sounds, jumping at shadows, and avoiding silence because it made the memories louder. Sleep became a stranger. I spoke less, laughed less, and even eating felt like a chore. One evening, I walked to the edge of the base, staring at the dark jungle beyond. I whispered to myself, "You survive, but what do you live for now?" No answer came, only the night wind rustling the leaves. I realized that the war had taken more than just the battlefield. It had taken a piece of my mind, a part of my heart. I had survived death, but I could not escape the ghosts of those who hadn't. And perhaps I never would.